So if studying the afterlife is important and you need reminders throughout the day, what do reminders look like? And especially considering the context in which we live in, 2021, as of right now, life is busy, right? You wake up, you got work, you got other things that you're working on, you got family, everything's pulling you in 10 different directions, right? And then next thing you know, it's time to sleep, right? What do genuine reminders of this subject matter look like?
AlMaghrib presents Q&A with Suleiman Hani.
Sure. A couple things. First, we need to take a step back from that super busy schedule that we all have, right? From morning to night and even the sleep itself, and ask ourselves this question, which is, what is my purpose? Why do I exist? What is my number one priority? If I were to die and I had to choose only one thing to accomplish in my life, what would it be? Most people would not say their jobs. Most people would not say a certain level of income, hopefully, because then that means that really is why you think you exist. That's your most important priority. But as Muslims, we know that we were created not to stay in this world. We were created for a test, to know Allah, to worship Allah out of love, and to work towards paradise in the next life eternally. If I know that to be my number one priority, then this extremely busy lifestyle from morning to night needs to be connected to that in some way. So when I'm going to work, I'm going meaningfully. I'm repeating and saying my morning supplications, and they're connected to the afterlife. I'm remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly throughout the day. I'm listening to Quran, and sometimes it reminds me, and I need that reminder. Oftentimes we go through hardships as well. You have a busy lifestyle, but at times you're also going through difficulties, and everyone struggles in some way. The reminder of Jannah, that it will erase every single moment of pain in this world, helps us get through it, helps us with resilience, helps us with optimism. It's also a reminder that sometimes shapes your conversations with your spouse, your friend, your neighbors, your parents, your children, because you're thinking about the reunions of Jannah. You're thinking about something that is lasting and eternal. The reminders also come about through reminders, through lectures, through short clips, through social media engagement, through your connection to your local Islamic center or mosque, to the good friends that you choose, to the entertainment that you choose as well. Like, what kind of entertainment is reflective of a person who is really looking forward to paradise or working towards paradise? What does that look like? What do the habits look like for someone who works out? If you work out every day or several times a week, what does that look like when you work out because your purpose is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the afterlife? So it really shapes every single slice of your life, if you will, every area of life. Relationships, your wealth, the way you think about money, and the way you think about charity, the way you think about what you actually own, the way you think about the grade, it's all connected to your destination.
I feel like just from a context of AlMaghrib Institute and as the institution that we're at, one of the things that we set out in the beginning with all of our programming and our classes was to help people get educated in the area of Islamic studies and sciences, right? And then maybe I would say easily 10 years into the game, one of the key focuses that we came to realize is that the vast majority of the people that need this knowledge and education, one of their biggest struggles is to be able to establish their prayers, right? And everything that you just mentioned up until this point is all fine and dandy, right? But from a realistic standpoint, the people with the busy lifestyles, one of the biggest challenges that they have is establishing their prayers, right? Vast majority of folks, even within the scope of people who attend AlMaghrib classes, don't pray 5 times a day, right? They know they should, right? They know that they know it's important and it's a pillar of Islam, but it's one of those things that either because they find it very difficult to get up in the morning, or they're very tired at night, or the busy schedule that they have, they just haven't, I guess, made, even for people who, I guess now recently with the pandemic, people can pray at home, so that becomes a little bit easier. But because some of these systems and alarms and what have you are not established, they're not near a masjid, things like that, so even the daytime prayers kind of get lost in the mix. And so I would have assumed, at least in the answer of the question, the salah would be something that would have been there.
Sure. And it is, in fact, so I want to challenge one thing you said and add one thing to it. Because when we talk about ramifications of studying paradise, you're not just studying the descriptions of Jannah. The inhabitants of Jannah got to Jannah because of certain things that they chose to do consciously in this world. They chose that priority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over all worldly things, right? So in terms of the impact, it corrects our morality, meaning the practice of Islam, for ourselves first and foremost, including and starting with salah. It's the very first thing Allah will ask about on the Day of Judgment.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to say about prayer, and I think that's beyond the scope of the question. But when we talk about how paradise changes our habits and our prayers and our ibadat and all of that, I don't think anyone can deny that the experiences we have when we're experiencing an iman boost on a daily basis with that reminder, that it impacts us in some way. For you to know, for example, that when Allah mentions in the beginning of Surah Al-Mu'minun, the traits of the people of Al-Firdaus, He mentions about them twice issues of prayer. In another surah as well, twice the prayer is mentioned.
Yeah.
One is protecting the prayer on its time, and the other is focus during the prayer. These are two really important traits showing us that salah actually transforms you. Salah changes you. And one thing that salah is reminding of is why you exist. I was created to pray, right? That's connected, all of the goal setting is connected to why I exist, that purpose in life. And everything else really is scheduled around it. But I do want to challenge one thing that you said. And I'm challenging it because I don't know, but I also believe it's not known, which is the claim that the overwhelming majority of AlMaghrib attendees do not even pray their 5 prayers. I don't know that that's the case.
Okay.
A lot of people do struggle with prayer. I know that, I recognize that. And a lot of people who generally will attend classes do struggle with at least 1 prayer or 2 prayers here and there, or maybe struggling ongoing, right? I think the transformation that takes place from the reception of the knowledge to actually acting upon it goes back to the class itself, how it's designed, and to the individual and how receptive they are to change. And I believe that the topic of Jannah, especially when it's elaborated on, right? You have like a full engagement with paradise, has clearly the potential to change all of our behaviors. Because all of our daily actions, including ibadat, right? Because it's all worship, but ibadat specifically, like prayer, start to become connected to what we actually want, not what we're distracted by, right? Because we're all distracted. This world will never run out of distractions for us. And the sooner we come to that realization, the sooner we start working on what is my number one priority. If I died right now and I want one thing to follow me, I can't face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not praying a single prayer. There's a problem with that. And I recognize that. What am I going to do to change that? And how does the topic of Jannah and the topic of hellfire, how does it help me to make the moral changes that I need to make? In addition, people who prioritize social justice causes, which is trending these days. A lot of people are so aware of all the oppressions we have locally and globally. They're engaged in all these campaigns. They have the time for it, right? To post about it, to protest, to advocate in terms of actual organizations. But then they're missing prayer, right?
Yeah.
And the question here goes back to priority. It's not that you're choosing one or the other. It's that you're able to do more. In Ramadan, a lot of people prove to themselves, I am able to do more. And I know it, right? And so the reminder is actually crucial because it's a fitrah-based issue. It's not, hey, I need knowledge and information about praying 5 times a day. We know prayer is mandatory, right? It's a question of, is my fitrah, my internal state, my spiritual state, softened enough for me to finally make that change? And if I fall short, am I going to get back up again, right? Taking care of this right morally and the rights of people as well morally, but not letting go of the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you.